Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you on this Wednesday afternoon. My name is Kyron. I'm joined with me with Vlado, and we will be going through WallPV. So I hope you are in for something a little bit different to our usual rooftop topics. So if you haven't joined in the webinars before and you are, I guess, then new for the first time, we do appreciate some of the feedback that you give us and questions that you have, and we would really like to see them in the Q&A section. So down the bottom of your Zoom somewhere, there'll be a Q&A button. With this way, we can answer questions directly because if you put in the chat, it gets kind of a bit lost going up and down the chat, and we're a bit unsure of if something has been answered or not. So we would really like to hear your questions. Please just put them in the Q&A section. Vlad and I will be jumping back and forth a little bit between showing some of the products, showing some of the software on the computer, and having a bit of a conversation with ourselves as well. So we hope we can provide some bit of information for you and some of the key differences between the facade setup, which is a bit of a newer topic for K2 in comparison to the rooftop, which you might already know. So probably the one more thing, this will be recorded or is being recorded. So if you need to jump out or want to send it on to someone else, you will get a message later today or tomorrow with a link to the recording, and you can then watch it at your own will. So I think we better get into it.
Yep.
Vlado, I'll pass over to you for a bit of what we have online.
Exactly. I will start with our online part. Today we will only short present it because we think that you already know it or you already saw it one of our webinars, or don't know, somehow you're aware about web page in our possibilities here. So today we are concentrating on WallPV. So on our web page, k2-systems.com, you can always find our facade solutions under mounting systems. Here are all our facade solutions. So to say right away, in K2 base, we implemented now FacadeRail, MultiRail and PerfoRail. So in K2 base, you will find K-Rail by now. It will be implemented later. And also here is very important some references. So if you want to present our products or our completed projects to your customer, to convince them to install something on their walls, you can always show our references. At the moment, there are not so many reference projects, but still some very nice, nice projects. Come on. This field on facade, showing not only facade somehow. Okay, but still you can see here, for example, our nice facades somewhere in Switzerland. This one, you can always find some nice pictures how it's installed. So it's very nice to present to customers also as a complete solution. So combination of roof and wall. Also here, if you go to one of our facade solutions, for example, FacadeRail, you will find some additional information like system highlight, demo video downloads, the technical data. Here's some important information about it, some highlights about the system. Here also our demo video where it's shown how to install it, in very short, much more like advertising video. In here you can already switch to our product catalog. Here also, if you point with your mouse on mounting systems, the menu will open and you will see here in the middle our facade systems. Again, FacadeRail, K-Rail, MultiRail, and PerfoRail. Clicking on any of them, you will go to components. You see here the components of FacadeRail. You can see here the price. If you're logged in, you can also find here data sheets. If you click on one of the components, you can download here datasheet, for example, of the FacadeRail itself. Also very important here in our product catalog description. Again, some highlights. And here is our downloads. This is like most important part, I think. Here are very important our assembly instructions, how to install the system. checklists. So if you are getting projects from your customer and you don't have full information, it's I believe it's the best way is to send this checklist, because if that's really filled properly, you will have all required information to complete the project, to calculate the project in K2 base. And also here data sheets, yeah, to understand the system, or maybe also to share with your customer, yeah, just to explain what the system is and how to install it. And here again some videos. So let us proceed with the components in live. So Kyron will present you the components.
Thank you, Vlado. Sorry, there was just a question that had popped up. I've just missed my camera there as well. So we're going through some of the components here because even though the webinar today was advertised as the WallPV and base, the base software is a simulation, and you need to know as the user or as anyone who's using it the right information to put in, because then you'll get the right information out, right? And so a bit of an understanding of the systems we have and for what situation they're useful for or plannable for. We decided we'll do also a little bit of an overview, just as a bit of a recap, to talk about what products we have and then what situations they can be used for. So the easiest one that is, I guess, to imagine is the MultiRail system that we have with clamps. So the MultiRail with facade clamps is very, very similar to our MultiRail off the trapezoidal roofing, just with a few additions. And so using our MultiRail or our MultiRail CSM. So this is for rounded or waved corrugation roofing. Just be aware of the direction of the corrugation in this one. So this is needing a vertical corrugation. Both of these rails will sit on the facade like this. So if your corrugation is horizontally, then it's not going to work with this solution. Just be aware of that. And we are then just going to clamp on as we would with a bit of a normal setup, with a few additions. So one of them is a tool, I guess, we have to improve the installation, or make the installation a little bit easier. And with our MK2, we're just going to have a little holder, effectively, which is going to sit in, and I'm doing it a little bit the wrong way around. And this will be installed before we put the modules on and sit like so on the roof, and we'll see it a little bit on the wall, sorry, and we'll see it a little bit later. And this is just the module can sit here before it gets clamped. Another slight addition, we have an anti-slip plate. So this is one of the few fixings that we have into our own rail. Usually we have a bolt and nut sort of combination, but with this product we will sit it here, and with a screw, actually screw through the side. So we're going to make a penetration into the rail, and this is going to be effectively an extra level of safety, just in case something was to happen with the bolt in here and it was to loosen. And of course the clamp that's sitting on top holding the panel, we can put these in as well. Right, so this is the two main differences. The other one is we have a slightly new or adapted clamp for the facade, and it's a bit of a slight addition to our new middle clamps. So one side's a little bit longer, and it's got a little just padded EPDM sitting on what will be the bottom side. So if we imagine that, this is going to sit, if we had two clamps on top, this is just going to sit on top and holding the panels. And I'm going to show that in a second if we just pan over to the little assembly that we have over here. This is how it looks like if you were to install it. So we're going to install all of these parts at the first, or in the first couple of steps. Our panel is then just going to sit on this little holder, and this is to make this installation easier, right? Because if you can imagine, you're trying to balance this panel and then tighten this one from the bottom, while then also trying to tighten the clamps from the top, while you then have another panel on top of this. This can be quite challenging, and when you're working at heights, you want to make life as easy as possible for yourself. So once we've installed the the stoppers, we can then put the clamps in, and then we're just going to tighten, and I'm not going to do them all, but just to give you an idea, we can put our sorry, I might need to loosen it first so I can lower it onto the roof, and then just tighten it into the wall. Right. So we do that with all our clamps, with our mid clamps and our end clamps, and it's so effectively the trapezoidal multi-rail system with a slight addition. The other system, and I say that because we use this for now a number of different solutions on the facade, is with the insertion rail. And the insertion rail works a little bit different. We have it in silver and we have it in black. And this is a clampless solution. The modules actually sit in the channels that you see here, and they can then sort of be sat in portrait or in landscape. Doesn't really matter. It's sort of up to you. Obviously, one key point is that this thickness, where we're going to hold the module, sorry, is a certain width. So we have one option that's 30 millimeters and one option that is 40 millimeters. So if the panels are anything other than 30 or 40 millimeters, the solution isn't going to be suitable. But with the majority of panels today, you see around 30 millimeters. So in the majority of cases, it is suitable. So this can be fixed to any sort of underneath rail. And using the multi-rail as an example, we have a little cross-connector set, which I can show here. This is our sort of original one that has 2 bolts, and we have a new one that'll be released shortly, which sits a little bit different, only has the 1 bolt. And I can show you how that sits in with the multi-rail, just as a bit of a example. So with the MK2, put that a little bit higher, sorry. Our T-bolt or our T function can go in, and then we can just tighten. And so you can put this at the bottom, and then you're not going to see so much as you install the rails on top of that. And if you know any, if you know a little bit about K2 products and the basic rail system, we have a sort of a slide in function that you can do with the basic clip. It's exactly the same principle with this cross connector. And so it just slides in. All right, so the installation process for this is a little bit different, or quite a bit different to the other systems. The rail will sit in here, and it's just going to be held effectively. We can have a look, or we will have a look in a moment, how it fits together a little bit more as a system, but then we can also put a little split pin on the top, just to ensure that if there is any sort of, let's say, extreme wind situation where potentially could be moving up, this split pin is going to stop that, right? So these are pretty much all of the components for this top rail, for this insertion rail. And we will just jump over again to how it's looking on the multi-rail. And so you can see here 1 or 2 points that we didn't talk about, but just at the bottom we have this anti-slip point again, and some of the other points are that we have a little stopper effectively, which sits on, in this case, both sides of the middle point. And this will ensure that if the rail expands in any direction out further, it is held here, and the expansion will only be seen on the other ends. We do also have a little stopper sometimes on the end. You'll see this occasionally in the software. This is to ensure that this expansion isn't so much. But the idea being, we want to limit the amount of force that the expansion of this rail has onto the underlying roof, or in this case, the underlying facade structure. Right. So here we have a bit of a mix. We have black rails with silver multi-rails, and generally you're not going to see these silver multi-rails here, obviously, because we're going to have the panels installed. And you can see the installation process of the panels there as well. It's the same up-down function. And at the bottom, you would install a little bit differently with the multi-rail up a little bit higher, and this other cross connector that we were talking about. So you don't see effectively so much of what here, because we do realize that the installation of a facade is often an optic point as well. So it's not just, is it going to be statically verified, but is it going to be aesthetically pleasing as well? So there is now one more product which we would often, or which we would include with the insertion rail system, and we have a little stopper effectively which sits in between the panels. So, oops, sorry, that was, if that was a little loud on your ears. So we'll put an end stop on the both ends of the rail to stop it sliding out. We have, sorry, I can just show you that as well before I forget too much. We have an older one, a newer one. So a little end stopper which will sit in the channel here, and you fix it from behind. There's a little screw, lug screw in there. And we have a newer one which I will put on here as well. So this one you can just effectively push in with force. It's a single use product, so I'm not going to push it in because it would be a bit difficult to get out, but it's a very stiff steel, so once you put it in, it bites on this, and anything sort of expansion is just going to bite even further and stop any rails moving sort of out of the system. And then what I was saying with our little stopper, this is a little bit of rubber that once you've put it in, you're going to have a evenly spaced, as a 5 millimeters gap between the first panel and then the next panel, right? It also adds as a bit of a plug. So once this is in, you can't take out the panels effectively. So you saw this installation process, which is quite simple, sort of an up-down, right? And in some places we get questions about, well, is this going to be a secure system because someone could just come up and take it down, right? But once the stopper is in as well, it provides just enough space that at the bottom now you can see here that it's not going to come out of the bottom channel. And so once you've put this little stopper in, you're not only getting an even gap between this panel and the next panel, you're also ensuring the panels can't be taken out. So with the MultiRail, which we have here for the trapezoidal roofing or sheeting, sorry, and I apologize again for using roofing all the time. It's what we're usually talking about. So for the facades and the wall, the MultiRail is the option where we can do the insertion rail and the facades, sorry, and the clamps, facade clamps. Facade clamps only in landscape, horizontal, but with the insertion rail, we can do in portrait or landscape, vertical or horizontal. The insertion rail also has or is suitable for a number of other under constructions, or in this case, facade material, right? And this is where the different systems come in, and this is where the different underlying rails, right? So when you see the names on the website, or you're in the base software looking for the right material to use, most of them have a name regarding the underlying rail. So it's like the multi-rail system with the insertion rail, or the PerfoRail system with the insertion rail. It's referring to the underlying rail, then the top rail as well. So for the different roofs, we have, for different walls, again, the roof, sorry, we have this different underlying material, and therefore we have a different sort of fixing methodology. The multi-rail into the sheeting with different ones, different material. So some of the other ones are for concrete or sort of brick building with some form of insulation usually. And with that, we have the facade rail, which is this rail here. And we can have a look from above. So this is our rail, which we're extruding. And you'll notice that it doesn't really have anything to fix to. So you don't see any holes in it, or you don't see any screws or anything like that. And that's because we are partnering with, or we're providing a rail that can be fixed with a console from, well, in this case, we've been working with Hilti, but you could effectively fix it with other manufacturers as well, whereby they are the experts in the fixing into the concrete or into the brick. So they have all of that information, and we can just fix to their products. So generally speaking, this is the facade rail. There's going to be a large screw or a large earth screw, and maybe I can just unscrew one here, which will fix through this hole, right, into the backing concrete. And then in these small holes here, we can fix through our rail. So we just use a small screw, and depending on the layout, you might fix it into the slotted hole, or you might fix it into the rounded hole. So you get this information into the report, and this is then that fixing methodology. So these consoles are designed for usually insulated walls with this concrete or brick or stone backing. We have the one that I showed here. We also have a number of slightly different sizes. So this one is a little bit longer. It has potentially more screws that could go in it. It's also, if you think about it being placed vertically, as it's longer, if there's any pull sort of down, it's going to be better distributed on the top. So while it's longer, there's be less bending moment moving forward, or let's say more resistance to bending moment pulling forward. And we also have the capability or option of installing with different lengths of insulation, right? So if you are doing the base software, you will, or a project in the base software, and you say, I have 20 centimeters of insulation, roughly so, then you will get the longer version of the product, right? If you have a shorter insulation or potentially no insulation, you might get a shorter one. And I think we have about between 10 or 12 different lengths. And then we also have the different sizes as well. So in total, in the system or in the calculation, I think there's upwards of 30, 35, 40 plus products. But if you put in the right information, you'll get the right information at the output. So like, sorry, as I was saying before, that if what you need to know is what you have, because it will determine how many of these you need to do this, the software, and do the planning as accurately as possible. Right. The other product we have is the PerfoRail, which I was talking about, and here, this is also for a concrete insulation or concrete backing, and you see here we actually have a wooden one, but this is just a bit easier to represent because we can't get a big chunk of concrete really, and drilling into it is a little bit difficult. So imagine that this is a concrete support, and then we have some space here with, again, some form of insulation. Right? This installation process is much easier for pre-existing buildings than the one that we showed before. So with the Hilti console and the facade rail, if it's a new build and they're going to do the backing and then add the insulation, it's a much easier option. With this one, it's not so much work to do a small hole for these little riser screws to then be fixed into the underlying concrete, right? And I have, although maybe Vlado, can I just grab one of the tools that we have to, sorry, no, the riser Schrauber. Yeah. So you'll notice here they have different, sorry, the lighting's a little bit different. You've got a vertical one and then a one at 15 degrees. And in the middle, you'll have two at 15. And this is shown into the base software where you need to place these and what direction they need to be. And to do that, you can put the rail onto the roof, and you see that the rail has lots of holes that are pre-drilled for the, or not pre-drilled, I mean, this is how the rail comes, for where the screws can go. And then you can put the little jig on top and align that with I wonder if I can maybe align it a little better so we can see. I mean, I can see that. And then if we align that perfectly with the hole that's in the, I'm a little bit off as well, but you get the idea that now this hole is going to go straight through. This will be a straight one. And on top, you're going to have to move it up or down a little bit to get the 15 degrees of the that's required for either at the top or the bottom. So this is the fixing that's required for the specific type of facade that you might have. Right? So once you know the facade type, then you'll get either the option of using this product or the option of using the facade rail that we had as well in the software. In the same way that the K2 base works with the roofing, as soon as you have selected the physical properties of the building that you have, you'll get a selection of products that are suitable for that. We do have one more product as well, which we might just jump over here. Thanks, Klaus. The carrier rail. So this is for insulated panels. Again, however, this one fixing into the outside of the sheeting. So a little bit like the MultiRail. We've been working with this product with a company Fischertherm in Germany, and I think, and another one Montana. And the product itself is only well, in Germany, there's a term for the registration, the approved effectively by the company for the for their specific product. So their product, we can use this rail because we've been working with them. And so for this reason, it's not in base because it's a very limited situation where you can use it. But if you do have like a sandwich panel that you're unsure about, or you would like to use it, you can send it to us and we can do a bit of a planning for it. But here you also get a bit of a view of how the insertion rail sits and also how it sits with the facade rail and the Kilty consoles. So this is a bit of an overview of the products and how they work. And I see that there was a few questions that have popped up. So before I pass back over to Vlado, I'll ask maybe if we can discuss any of them, or was there any that we could go over in a little bit more detail?
Did you tell about difference between facade rail and PerfoRail?
A little bit.
When we install which one?
I don't know. What do you mean? Is there a specific point you'd like to?
Yeah, exactly. So I
up?
would like to. Klaus, can we switch camera? Or shall we move there?
Yeah, we can come back.
Exactly. So I just wanted to emphasize the difference between PerfoRail and facade rail because we use different fasteners. So facade rail with these brackets we use when the wall is not insulated or when PV will come before insulation. So these consoles are to place directly on the wall, not on insulation.
Yeah.
And PerfoRail we install through the insulation into the wall, and this is like the main difference between the systems. So you have to know if your wall is insulated or not, and if insulation will come later. So it's like very important for us because otherwise we will just calculate for your wrong system. You will not be able to install on your wall.
Yeah. Super. And then I see that we had another one as well about the MultiRail with concrete blocks, concrete bolts, sorry, into the concrete wall. So there's not really the design purpose of the MultiRail. So the MultiRail is quite thin. It's got the smaller screws that are designed for a concrete wall. And so for this reason, we haven't done any tests on it. It's not the design purpose for it. In practice, it's probably something you could do.
I would maybe recommend even to install PerfoRail instead of MultiRails because PerfoRail is a bit stronger on the bottom, so it will be like a better decision in this case.
Yeah, and
even if you will have like more material, it will be more expensive. But MultiRails, it's completely on your risk if you will do it. So I would say probably it will hold, but we cannot calculate it. We cannot provide you any warranty. So
yeah,
it's completely on your risk.
Yeah. Okay. And I see there's another one about the yeah. So there's a question about the how the base software works and whether it's overloaded and how much you can set the distance. So I think Vlado, that might be a better idea. You can show some of that.
I will show it later. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I might leave it to you, Vlado.
So let me share the screen. Exactly. So this is our project. We will not do the basics like selecting terrain category, selecting failure consequence class. So just keep in mind. So maybe for every installation on wall, it's better to select failure consequence class CC2 because your model will fall from the wall and can injure someone. So it's always better to select here CC2 or CC3 if you're somewhere, I don't know, in city center, if you're installing your WallPV on a mall with a lot of people walking around, or maybe it's school or a stadium, so maybe it's even better to select here CC3. Yeah. And yeah, all other points are as usual, as you know from our roof installation. The main difference is coming here. So how to select, or maybe let me cancel it. No, building is already here. Okay. So how to design wall? Yeah, if you will select any of our pitch roofs, yeah, you will not find here any option for wall installation. Yeah, so most important point, you select flat roof, and here now you have the choice between roof or wall. So select here your wall, and now you have to select wall material. Yeah, you will see that sandwich panel is not here. It's because our K2 solution is not in base by now, and because it's very limited to the manufacturer of sandwich panel. As Karen said, it's everything depend on approval. So if you have a sandwich panel, you want to install any system of us, MultiRail or K2, the first you have to do is to contact sandwich panel manufacturer and ask them if you're allowed to install something on the wall. Yeah. So let us start with the simplest one. We will start with trapezoidal roof covering. This value, as usual, if you don't know what to put in, just click on the question mark, and you will see here you install your WallPV on this wall. So you need to put this size. So to say, the length of the building. If you have, for example, a building with not rectangle shape, but something, for example, L shape, then please put here in the worst value, so the longest wall you have. So here, as you probably know from our trapezoidal roof, you put here crest distance, crest width, crest height as usual, and material of the wall. Let us make it a bit thicker. Yeah. Here, again, as you already know from our roof, you can select here the real size of your wall. It's always pre-selected 20 to 10, yeah, but you can adjust it as you want. For example, let us make it 23 in any direction, and let us make it a bit smaller, 6 meters. Yeah, you will see here this H distance. Yeah, it's coming from our flat roof, but it will be removed later. So don't worry about it. Just keep planning. So now select your model. Here's one already saved. Let us select this one. And here and now you have the choice between MultiRail with facade clamp and insertion, MultiRail with insertion rail. So facade clamp, you have only one option to put the models on the landscape because you will clamp the models on the long side. Let us do this simpler solution here. So yeah, as usual, you just design your model field. You can here adjust the distance on the short side between the models. Here you have choice between color of clamps. Important to say that we have middle clamps only in black color, so maybe it's better to keep here black, not to select silver, because if you select silver, you will get end clamps in silver color and middle clamps black, so it's not so nice looking. I maybe to show something again here on building. As usual, as you know already from roofing, you can see here the wind loads. You will not find here any snow loads, even if we have here in our region snow load zone 5. You will not find it here because the snow doesn't affect our WallPV installation. And here, as you know from our roof, you can add an obstacle, for example, a rectangle one. Let's put it here, and models will be deleted automatically. So we designed our project here. Let's switch to result. In here you see like two colors, white and yellow. Yellow color is a different zone of our wall where the loads are higher. So sometimes you will get in this area more rails, Probably we will see it designing facade rail or PerfoRail, and sometimes the rails here are not verified. In this case, everything is fine. Here, as you know from our roofing, you can, for example, add pteroglyphs or deselect them, cable management, and so on. And the last page is, as usual, our summary, or maybe to answer this question about loads. Here you can find the loads on the models, and here are loads on fastener, for example, on the rails, clamps, and so on. So this is your button to find all these values in the K2 base. For example, if it will be overloaded, for example, here fastener is our screws, which are usually overloaded in MultiRail. So you will get here like more than, or maybe let's just make a sample. If we will select a Sina trapezoidal metal sheet, it will not be verified for sure. Yeah, and now you see here the screws are overloaded. So the component is overloaded are our screws in this case. Here, last page is usual our bill of material. You can also round up to sales units. And here are the same options: generate reports, export to Excel, and so on and so on. If you will generate a report, you will see it's quite similar to our roof report. Oops. Let's see, we have number of models, picture, assembly instructions. Yeah, this is the distance between the multi-rails. Yeah, and so on. And here are our statical calculation. Yeah, this is our loads on the fastener. You will see it's like higher than 100%. So this A area is our yellow area where the loads are higher, and B area is our middle area where the loads are smaller. Yeah, and so on and so on. So it's our very well-known static report, and here in the end, as usual, our bill of material once again. So this is the simplest calculation which is possible. Our multi-rail with facade clamps. Let us do it a bit more complicated. Let us select corrugated metal sheet. Here you also have to enter wave distance. Let's make it small. Material a bit thicker. And now you have also again the option between multi-rail CSM with facade clamp or multi-rail CSM with insertion rail. Let us do it with insertion rail this time. And now you have the choice between portrait and landscape, because in insertion rail you can pull your models in any way, vertical or horizontally. Let us do it portrait. Move it to the left. Here again our results. So probably you will see that here the distance between the multi-rails is a bit greater than here in our yellow area, in our H area. Here again our loads. Now you have here fastener, so this is our screws. Base rail is our multi-rail. Cantilever is not relevant here. And here our upper rail, it's our insertion rail. Here again have the loads on the insertion rail, and also utilization of cross connectors. In cantilever, again, because now you have this upper rail, you have here cantilever, so it's also important that cantilever is not too long. So it's also calculated here. And similar to our roof, in this case, you can also define the distance between basic rails, between multi-rails in this case. For example, we can reduce the distance. Now we have more multi-rails. Project is verified, but you have now less loads on the upper insertion rail. You can also try to increase the distance, but probably in this case it will not be verified, because the distance is now too big for the screws to be verified. So our insertion rail system. So let us do it a bit more complicated. Let us go to concrete. So concrete walls are usually insulated. So now you will find here 2 additional values to put in. It's our wall thickness. Let's do it with 100 millimeter. It's also insulation thickness. Let's do it 150 millimeter. So now on the design, you can select between PerfoRail and FacadeRail. As I said, if your facade is already insulated, if insulation is there, you have to select PerfoRail. If insulation will come afterwards, yeah, our 150 millimeter insulation will come afterwards, you can install FacadeRail and then insulate your wall. So let us select PerfoRail, portrait models, design it. So now check it. So everything is verified. Past utilization 98%. So we cannot reduce the distance between the rails. But let us move it a bit closer to the edges, so maybe we can see different distance between the rails. Yeah, it's difficult to recognize, but maybe you can see that here the distance between the rails is a bit smaller than here in this area. It's again because of this wall H area where the loads are higher. And here you will see that screw is already pre-selected, and you will see it's already pre-selected in length. So I don't recommend you to select a shorter one because probably you will have issues with your insulation, but you can select a longer one to create additional distance between the rail and insulation of your wall. And here again, our verification of components. Here our screws, our riser screws, base rail. Base rail is in this case our PerfoRail. Upper rail is insertion rail, and again we have here cantilever. We have no cantilever for base rail because it's put on the wall, and here you will not have any cantilever at all. For concrete walls, we have only one concrete. Yeah, if you have a better concrete than C16 or C20, you will still have to calculate with this one, but you can be sure that concrete of better quality will also hold your facade PV. So let us switch to most complicated one. Is our brick. Yeah. Here you can select different type of bricks. Yeah, these are all solid bricks. If you have perforated brick, it's very important that you measure our how we call it,
The
pull out.
pull out the strength.
Exactly. Yeah, pull out strength of the wall. Yeah, there are different methods how to measure it, and we will necessarily need from you this values probably to calculate your project manually. So if the wind loads, if the local wind loads are not so high, maybe it will be verified, maybe not. But anyway we will need this pull out values of your wall. Here you see different pull out values for solid clay bricks, solid sandline bricks, and lightweight concrete solid blocks. Yeah, let us stay, I don't know, for lime bricks. Let's select a stronger one. Here again, you have to put your insulation thickness, but you have to remember that our PerfoRail with riser screws is available only for concrete walls. So if you have bricks, any type of bricks, you will need to install our facade rail. That means that you have to install PV before insulation. Yeah. Here you have only one choice, only facade rail. Let us do it landscape this time. Yeah. Let us create project again. So let's come to result. Here you will see it's not verified. Why it's not verified? You can open our error message and you will see the distance between rail connector and cross connector cannot be upheld. That means that the distance here is our rail connector. Let us find our rail connector. Let us remove our fasteners here. We can see now our rail connectors, and the distance between this rail connector and the rail, in this direction, must be 100 millimeter or greater. So that means that we cannot install in this case. Let us maybe. So the main reason is that we have very high wind loads on our wall, and the material of the wall, our bricks, are not so strong. So maybe let us test it with concrete solid blocks, because these are a bit stronger. Oh, you see now everything is verified, because here is our distance, probably 10 centimeters or maybe more. Now here's everything is verified. Bracket length, it's also depends on insulation thickness you selected here. So it must be at least 20 millimeters more than your insulation. So if you want to create more distance between PV or between the rail and the wall, you can increase here the bracket length. 16, you see here already everything is overloaded, because the longer is your bracket, the less loads it can take. And here again, you have option to select between the consoles. It's the width of the console. Maybe let me show it to you again here in our product catalog. Facade rail. And here we have different consoles or brackets. Here you have L, so biggest one, longest one, S, small one, and M. In the middle, something between S and L. And for sure, this L console is stronger than M and S. So let us try again with 60. It's not verified. Let us select stronger 1L. And you see with L console is now everything is verified. For sure, L console is more expensive than M or S, but it's statically better. So probably for your project, it's possible that you will need only L consoles. What is also important here for facade rails that we have two type of brackets, two type of points, sliding point and fixed point. What does it mean? Did you explain it, Karen? This fixed point, sliding point.
I did not explain it.
Okay, so
very well.
maybe let me show it in as our assembly instructions. I believe here we can see it. Make it bigger right away. Somewhere it was explained for sure. Here, our fixed point in our slotted hole, or our floating bearing, sliding bearing, different types of holes. See here, round one and slotted one. So if you have, you will see it in assembly instructions in base report, which hole you have to use. And for sure that consoles used for fixed point must be stronger, or shall be stronger than consoles used for fixing point, because fixing point is here to allow the rail to extend, and fixing point is like fixed connection. On this connection, the rail is not able to extend. And here in the our system utilization report, I would say, calculation, you will see here also for both points, for fixed point, a sliding point, screw utilization, and bracket utilization. You see now that the usual fixed point is like holding more loads. So if your system is not very verified, probably, most probably it will be like fixed point. So you can try always to select here the strongest L bracket. I believe that's all about it. So maybe to show again here, as you know from our roof, you can again select portrait landscape. Here you can adjust the distance between the rails. And also you can select the color usually. Okay, it's not here. So maybe to say right away, so we implemented our WallPV, but it's still in we're still adjusting it because there are some errors. Yes, sometimes something is missing, sometimes calculation is not completely correct. So if you find any bugs, just report them to us, yeah, to service at K2, or if you know your direct partner, yeah, write it to him. So we like still adjusting our WallPV in K2 base.
Yeah, thanks. But we had maybe a few questions that we could answer as well. And one of them was to do with the shape of the building. So here you see that we have a rectangle, and I think we actually start from the very beginning that it's only an option when we're picking the flat roofs. And what we have done for the software, because the software opens the door up to everyone to use, is focusing more on the larger scale projects. So warehouses or large shopping centers, as we have here, where it's going to be a little bit of a bigger project. And for this reason, it's usually going to be a rectangle, right? So you might have a slight change, you might have a slight slope at the top, but generally speaking, it's rectangular. For sort of a house, a family home, there's many different types of buildings in different regions. And so to implement something like this in the software would take a lot more time because it'd be a lot wider range of fixings, and then doing all of the statics and all of the testing in that is too much for the software to handle right now. It might be something we look at into the future, but for this first step, the software is being designed for these larger scale projects. And for this reason, we have not put in any different shapes for the facade. If you do have like a larger building that is with a triangle or with a one side that's higher, or it's got a big gap on one side, please contact us with this email before, because we might be able to have a look at it. But the triangle roofs that you might see on like a family home, that's not the design purpose of the software here. We do have a little kit set up that you could build, which is not statically verified in the way that this is. So with that one, you would actually have to find your own screws effectively, and we can provide a bit more detail on that if you do have questions. Again, probably the best place is this email address that you can send us to.
Yeah, and also if your project on, for example, on perforated brick is not verified in K2 base, just send it to us. We will check if we can solve it with our WallPV kit.
Yeah,
it's also a good solution for perforated bricks.
Yeah. So that was some of the questions that have just come up, and we can look at them as well. And for the one about the brick, so we have the PerfoRail solution, which is with a specific screw with a concrete base and insulation. And right now in the software, we don't have the products in the system that can be used for a different backing material. So the concrete backing material is there and implemented, and all of the statics are sorted in here. However, we don't have one yet in the system for any other backing material type. Something we're looking at doing potentially in the future, but like right now, it's not the most common one that we've seen. So
and again, this one we can solve with our WallPV kit for small installation. So if
yeah,
you have insulated bricks, so just write to us. We will send you tool to calculate it and tool to calculate bill of material. So you will be able also to calculate it on your own.
yeah. And in terms of just some other questions that have popped up as well, and we can make comment on it. So if you did have, for whatever reason, you didn't want to put modules on one side of the roof, yes, you could draw an obstacle on it. However, just some of the what have we done here? I think because I'm trying to build a new one, that's why we do. If we are to draw an obstacle, just be aware that this isn't going to change the static side of things. So if I was to add another one here, add another one and put one in the corner. Yes, I'm not going to place any modules here, but you see that this roof zone or wall zone is not the same. So it's not going to be 100% sort of accurate, but it is a bit of a way of a workaround. There's another question we had in terms of how to share projects. So I can just show that as well. So once you're on the, I don't even need to be on here. Once I've saved my project or in the project, if I wanted to send this to effectively, you could send it to us to look at it, or if you wanted to send it to a colleague or a potential someone you know that's working on it, a distributor who's also got access to Base and you know they use them, you can share the project by clicking this. And then you have to put in an email address. I might put Vlado's email address so everyone can send it to him. But you also have to press the done button. So once you're done, and so for example, we had the service at K2, just so you can see it one more time. Right now, if I add this, I'm not yet, I still need to click this done button as well. Right, so because I can take them away from this sort of thing. So you can add different people. Every time you add someone, though, you give them the option of viewing it, or you give them the option of editing it. If they edit your project, that changes there forever. So I would just be cautious about who you're giving access to edit and to who to view. Myself personally, if someone sends me a project, I will usually make a copy of it so I can access my version of the project and leave theirs intact. But the way you choose to work with it, that's kind of up to you. So you can then copy and paste this and send it to them, or this itself will send them an email as soon as you press this done button. So I don't want to send our team an email, so I'm not going to go through with that. You can also do it from this page by clicking this little share button. And the same thing pops up. Yeah, and we can also, if you want, you can also download the file and send it as an email attachment effectively. Where am I? Or where is our project? There we go. And we just had another question as well on the what was it, the 100 millimeter limit? And so sorry for blocking you off there, Vlado. So I believe with the insulation thickness that we have here, but also with the concrete, if you put in such a small value of the insulation, you don't get the PerfoRail, for example. And if you put in a small value of insulation, I believe you only get certain options in the results page. In here as well.
But 100 millimeters is not a limit. You can put more.
Yeah, but it will be an impact. So if you change the values here, it is going to impact your project at the end.
You will see that you will have now like a different lengths of brackets, different loads for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think what was brought up was before, if you then put the bracket length a little bit shorter, then you're going to have the potential issues with the
insulation.
Yeah, with the insulation. So I think then we're pretty much done for today. Yep. And unless we have any more questions that are coming in, thank you everyone for joining today. It's been a bit of a different webinar, or some topics that we are a little bit new to ourselves. Yep. You can tell by how many times I've said roof instead of saying facade. I think I said it more than actual doing it correctly. But hopefully it'll be a little bit better next time. And speaking of next time, we have a webinar next week. It will be on our trapezoidal roofing. It'll be our last webinar before the bit of a summer break that we're going to have. But if you do have any questions over the next couple of weeks, months, or whenever, please do feel free to contact us with the email addresses that we had before. And if especially, please feel free to contact us with feedback on Base. So we have done internal testing. We personally have been using the software in an internal version for the last 6 months or so. But as it's now open to everybody, we get a lot more feedback, and this is really helpful for our development team because they can then put your wishes effectively into the software and make it easier or make it better or make it easier to understand. So it's actually really, really helpful when we get that information. Okay, I think I can see that we've put the chat or the link in the chat for next week. Anything else to add, Bo?
No, just that we're also happy that we have finally our WallPV and
Yeah.
in K2 base. So we hope that you will also enjoy it. You will design a lot of projects.
Yeah.
If you have nice projects you already designed and built, just send us some pictures. We are always happy to get some reference
Absolutely.
pictures, reference projects
Yeah.
we can also share with our customers. So please feel free also to contact us with your nice results of our facade systems.
Yeah. Super. And then on that note, I think we say goodbye and until next time.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again soon.
See you.
Cheers.